friends, this is Miss Betsy, and I'm here to talk to you today about what happens when we get too much rain or too much weather. Last week we talked about when we don't have enough water and what happens when people have to walk a very, very long way to get water. But this week, during God's work, our hands, we're going to talk about what happens when you get too much of something. So I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories. This takes place, of course, one of my favorite places in Africa. And it was during the rainy season. And one day it rained and it rained and it rained and it rained for a whole week. And the water kept getting higher and higher and higher. And then all of a sudden it started reaching over the banks and started rushing down to the ocean. And with it, it took a lot of different things with it. It took trees and stumps and all kinds of things. But what else it took with it is it took a whole pod of hippos. Yeah, hippopotamuses. You know how big they are. Yeah. So it took the whole pod, a whole family of them, all the way down the river. And then when the water started to recede and it stopped raining and it started to go back up the river, there was something out in the ocean. And the people that were walking on the beach looked and they saw, oh my goodness, that's not a whale. That's not a shark. That is the strangest looking creature. And so they looked closer and it was a baby hippopotamus. And the baby hippopotamus was out there crying because all the other hippos had gone back to shore and up into the river and back to their homes, but the baby hippopotamus got left. So the baby hippo, the people that walked by knew the baby hippo wouldn't be able to live very long because it was salt water. Remember we said, but people can't and animals can't drink salt water and survive. And there was no food. And we all know baby hippos eat a lot of food. So they called the game warden and they said, there is a baby hippo stuck out on a sandbar in the ocean. Can you come help and bring it back to its family? And so the game warden came out and said, yeah, I can bring it back, but they will probably reject it because hippos are weird and they only, we wouldn't be able to tell which pod was his or which family was his. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring it to the game reserve. Well, the game reserve is a place where animals go when they need help or helping hands. And so they got the baby hippo onto the truck, and the baby hippo was so scared that he was thrashing around, and they thought, oh my goodness, this baby hippo, he's about 600 pounds, is going to tip over the truck. So they finally get him sedated, and they get him on the truck, and they take him back to the reserve. And when he wakes up, he goes over to this cranky old tortoise named Mazee. And Mazee is about 100 years old, and Mazee does not want the company of a baby hippo. He starts hissing at the baby hippo and telling it to go away. Go away, I don't want you. I am alone. I don't like other animals anywhere near me. Well, poor baby hippo, they finally decided to name him Owen. And Owen started going up to Mazee over and over and over again until Mazee started to accept him. And Mazee allowed Owen to come sleep in his little area. And he taught Owen how to swim. And he taught Owen how to basically to become a tortoise. And from that point on, Mazee and Owen were always together. And the game wardens thought, oh no, Mazee's going to get crushed by Owen because Owen is getting so big. But Owen loved Mazee, and he was so careful with Mazee, and his 3,000-pound body never, ever hurt Mazee. Now, I'm going to show you some pictures that I think are really funny. And I'm going to put them right up here. I'm doing this differently today, so let's see if we can see these. This is Owen and Mazee. Can you see that? What is Owen doing to Mazee? You can see why Mazee would not want anything to do with Owen. But here's what Owen did. He cuddled up next to Mazee. You see that? Yeah. Okay, so they're together. Oh, Owen is sleeping next to Mazee. And here's my favorite. This is where Owen and Mazee start walking around together. And they start swimming together and they become best of friends. Isn't that cool? There they are. And here's one more, so you can see it. And that's Mazee teaching Owen how to be a tortoise or a baby hippo. I love those pictures. That's a very true story, and Owen and Mazee still live on the game reserve, and you can actually go and online and put in Owen, O-W-E-N, and Mazee, M-Z-E-E, and you can find them and you can watch them because they have a little camcorder right there, and you can kind of see them do their daily thing. But what I wanted to talk about was how important it is to have people or animal friends or whoever that when things aren't going well and there's been what they call a natural disaster, like there's too much water or there's maybe been a tornado, or here in Texas we have tornadoes and we have hurricanes, and what it's like when we have friends who are willing to lend a helping hand. Who do you think the hands were in this story? Okay, so maybe it was the people on the beach that first saw Owen sitting out there. Then the game wardens. And what about our animal friend? Was Mazee a helping hand? I think he was. I think he made Owen feel very, very calm. Owen needed another animal because Owen's nature was to be together with other hippos. So Owen needed Mazee to care about him. Okay, well, what happens when there's too much rain or many storms and there isn't anybody to help? Well, you know, there was a big storm recently here on the coast of Texas, and there's been a couple of storms over the years that have actually made people have to leave the area because in America, we do something what we call storm preparation, and we make sure that the people are very safe. So you'll always be safe with your mom and your dad. So you don't have to worry about being scared of storms. But what happens afterwards is after we're all safe and everybody's found and everybody's good and everybody's with their families, what happens is that you kind of have to do the cleanup after the storm. And then you find out that maybe your roof is missing or that the water has risen so far up your wall that everything is soaked and mildewy and ucky and it smells and you can't go back in your home because there's too much mildew. And this happens to quite a few families when there's too many hurricanes or when there's a tornado that might blow off somebody's roof. I think that's happened here too. And what do? We reach out to those people and we say, hey, how can we help you? How can we, because it could have been me. It missed my house, but it got yours. Or, you know what, it got very close to our home on the coast, but it missed our home. So maybe you would like to stay in our home while you get yours under control. But one of the things that really happens, and then we don't realize it happens with big storms, is that insurance companies won't always go and fix the people's homes until the land is clear. Now, if you were an older person and it was just you and picture your grandparents having to go and clear their land, could they do that? No. And that's when things like our mission trips and our young people going out and helping people is very important because their young bodies are nice and strong and they could clear the land so that the people could have the insurance companies come and rebuild. And that was one way they used their hands to help others. And so during this storm season, what is some ways that we can help others? We could, there's a shower ministry that Mrs. Choi has put up, and that's when, you know, all the water's around you, but you can't use any of it because it's all dirty. But you could really use a clean shower. Those people go and they pull the showers up where it's safe to take a shower, and they allow families to get clean, or they pull up a whole bunch of washing machines so that people can wash their clothes. They make sure that there's enough blood so that if you're injured, that you might be able to help save somebody. So some of you might go do a blood drive and give some of your blood. But basically, we really love to help others who are in what they call natural disasters, or when there's too much water, too much rain, too much wind. And that is how we go about helping others. So this is one more week of God's Work Our Hands. And I hope that you are using your hands to help others, as I know that you are, and that all hands, little, big, small, whatever it is, can be very helpful to others when it comes to natural disasters. All right. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.